The palace of the alien queen stood tall under the twin moons, its walls glowing with silver light. Yet inside those walls there was only fear, for two young princesses had gone missing in the dead of night. They were the daughters of the queen, heirs to her throne, and the pride of her heart. The night began quietly, the wind soft, the guards alert at every gate. But when the morning bells rang, panic broke like a storm. The servants searched the sleeping chambers, the gardens, the halls, yet no small voices answered. No laughter came back, only empty silence. The queen sat frozen on her throne, her long robes falling heavy around her, her eyes fixed on the door, as if her daughters would walk in any moment. But the truth was cruel. They were gone without a trace. The guards shouted orders, search teams ran through the city, flying beasts carried riders to the skies to scan every road, but nothing was found. It was as if the little ones had vanished into air. The people whispered in the markets. Some said traitors had stolen the princesses. Others feared they had been taken by pirates who hunted children of royal blood. The queen's heart broke more with every passing hour. She gripped the carved arms of her throne, her voice sharp like steel as she commanded, "Find them, alive or dead, bring them to me." But even she felt the weight of hopelessness. Far from the palace across broken lands where no royal guards dared to go, a different story began in the ruins of an abandoned city. A human walked alone under the shadow of tall broken towers, his clothes torn from labor, his boots heavy with dust. He was no soldier, no king, only a man forgotten by the galaxy. He stopped when he heard a sound, soft and trembling, like the whimper of a frightened child. His head turned, eyes narrowing. Again it came, a small sob hidden behind shattered stone. The man moved slowly, careful not to frighten whatever was there. Behind a fallen wall, in the dark corner of the ruins, he found them, two little alien girls with silver hair tangled and cheeks stained with tears. They were thin, their gowns torn, their eyes wide with fear. They clung to each other, too weak to speak. The human crouched low, his voice calm. "It's all right. I won't hurt you." The children flinched at first, then one of them reached out a trembling hand, too tired to resist. The other buried her face in her sister's shoulder. He gave them water from his flask, then a small piece of bread from his pack. Their small hands grabbed it desperately, eating. With quiet sobs, for the first time that night they did not feel alone. Back in the Queen's palace, the search continued without pause. Torches lit the walls. Soldiers questioned everyone. The Queen herself walked the halls like a ghost, her crown heavy, her heart heavier. Some of her advisors whispered that the girls might already be dead, lost to the void of space. Others spoke of enemies waiting to use this as a weapon against her rule. But in the ruins, the human sat with the children close to him. He wrapped his old coat around their small shoulders. The girls leaned against him, exhausted. One of them whispered something soft in a tongue he did not know, but he understood the meaning. It was a plea for safety, a call for someone to stay. The human looked at the stars above, then at the frightened faces beside him. He had no riches, no weapons, no power. But in that moment he made a silent promise. He would not let them go. The galaxy believed the daughters of the alien queen were lost forever, but they were not. They had found shelter in the arms of a human no one trusted, no one expected, and soon the world would learn that this vanishing was only the beginning. The night in the ruins grew colder. The broken towers let the wind pass through like sharp knives. The two little princesses huddled closer to the human, their small bodies shaking under his old coat. He tightened the cloth around them, pulling them gently into his side. He did not even know who they were. To him, they were only two frightened children lost in the dark, yet something in their eyes told him they carried a secret much heavier than their tiny frames. When the morning light broke through the cracks of stone, he stood and guided them away from the open ruins. They walked slowly, the girls stumbling. On weak legs, one held his hand tightly while the other followed close. Every sound of the wind made them shiver as if the shadows still hunted them. The man led them through the broken streets, past rusted gates and into the hills where few dared to travel. Hidden between cliffs was his shelter, small and simple, a place built from wood, metal scraps, and old blankets. It was no palace, no safe fortress, but it was all he had. The girls entered with wide eyes, as if the little hut was a kingdom compared to the cold ruins. He gave them water again, this time pouring carefully into a chipped cup. He placed bread on a small wooden plate. Their hands shook as they ate, crumbs falling to the floor. For the first time, he saw their faces more clearly. Their skin was pale like moonlight, their silver hair tangled but shining, their eyes deep. With sadness, they looked at him with both fear and hope, as if asking silently if they could trust him. He sat by the fire pit, feeding the flames with dry sticks. The warmth filled the room. The girls moved closer, sitting near the fire. Their shoulders relaxed slowly, their eyes heavy with exhaustion. Soon they leaned against each other and against him, falling asleep. The man watched them as they slept, their small breaths soft. He wondered where they had come from, who had left them in the ruins, what dangers had followed them. But his heart spoke louder than his doubts. He would protect them, whoever they were. Far away in the palace, the alien queen still searched. Her grief growing like a storm, she had not slept. Her throne felt like a prison. She stared at the doors every moment, waiting for her daughters to return. But only silence answered. Her advisors brought her maps, reports, empty clues, nothing real, nothing alive. Rumors spread quickly across the galaxy. Pirates whispered in their dark ships about the queen's loss. Smugglers spoke of hidden rewards. Some claimed the princesses had been killed already. Others claimed they were being sold to the highest bidder. The queen's enemies watched closely, waiting to strike. But no one imagined the truth, that the royal daughters were in the arms of a forgotten human in a broken shelter. The next day, the girls woke to the smell of warm broth. The man had boiled old vegetables and a piece of dried meat in a pot. He placed the bowls before them. They tasted carefully, then ate with hunger in their eyes. One of them whispered a small word of thanks in a soft alien tongue. The man did not understand the word, but he understood the feeling. As days passed, the girls began to smile faintly. They played with small stones, drew lines in the dirt floor. Their laughter was quiet but real. Each sound of joy was like a spark in the cold shelter. The man found himself smiling too, though he had forgotten the feeling long ago. At night, however, fear always returned. The girls clung to him when the winds howled, their little hands gripping his arm tightly. Sometimes they woke from dreams with tears in their eyes, whispering words he could not understand. He soothed them by patting their shoulders, whispering, "You're safe now. No one will take you." But deep in his mind, he knew danger was not gone. Whoever had taken them first would still be searching. And if they found the children here in his shelter, he would be hunted as well. Still, when he looked at their fragile faces, he knew he could not leave them. He would fight if he must, even if the galaxy turned against him. And so the hidden shelter became more than a place of broken wood and stone. It became a home for two lost daughters of a queen, and a human who never expected to become their guardian. But shadows were already moving, whispers already spreading, and soon the world outside would learn that the daughters were not dead. They were alive, safe in the arms of the one no one dared to trust. The human's small shelter stood silent under the cold night. Smoke from the dying fire curled upward through cracks in the roof. Inside, the two young princesses slept close together, their small bodies wrapped in his coat, their silver hair shining faintly in the glow. The man sat awake, his back against the wall, his eyes fixed on the doorway. He could not sleep, for he knew the world outside was not safe. The children were too important, too precious. Someone would be searching for them, and whispers were already spreading in the dark corners of the galaxy. In the city markets of distant worlds, smugglers spoke in hushed voices. The queen's daughters are alive. Someone saw them. Someone heard a cry. Pirates laughed over their drinks, planning how to capture them again, for the reward would be greater than gold. Back in the palace, the alien queen sat in grief, her hands trembling on her throne. She still believed her daughters were lost, but late in the night one of her spies entered the hall, bowing low, his voice soft but urgent. My queen, rumors reach us, they say your daughters breathe still, hidden far from here. The queen's eyes lit with sudden fire. Her heart raced. Hope burned against her sorrow. Yet doubt cut her deeply. Were these whispers true or just cruel tricks? She ordered the spy. Find the source, follow every word, I will not rest until I know. Meanwhile, in the hidden shelter, life slowly found rhythm. The human taught the girls small things. He showed them how to light a fire, how to hold a wooden spoon, how to draw shapes in the dirt. The girls laughed at his clumsy words, their voices soft and musical. It was the sound of life returning. One evening, the older princess picked up a small rock and tapped it against the wall, drawing a symbol. The man watched closely. She turned and whispered in her tongue, pointing to herself, then to the younger one. Slowly he understood. She was telling him their names. He repeated the sounds, broken but honest. The girls smiled, their faces glowing with trust, but trust was fragile, and danger was never far. For in the shadows outside the hills, a small group of hunters passed by. They spoke of the same rumor. Their leader grinned with sharp teeth. If the princesses are alive, we will find them, and whoever shelters them will beg for death. Their laughter echoed into the night, carried by the wind. The human did not hear them yet, but the girls stirred in their sleep as if their hearts felt the threat. One of them woke, frightened by a dream. She crawled into his arms, whispering softly. He patted her back and said gently, "Sleep, little one, no one will harm you." Though deep inside he was not sure. The next day he went to the nearby ruins to search for more food. The girls stayed hidden inside, waiting quietly. While he searched, he heard voices not far away. Traders moving through the ruins, one whispered. A man was seen with 2 small alien girls. Could it be the queen's daughters? Another spat. If it is, he will not live long. The man froze in place, his heart pounding. He had been careful, yet somehow word had slipped through. He returned quickly to the shelter, his face tense. The girls noticed his fear. They clung to him without questions. That night the fire burned low, and the human sat with a tool in his hand, sharpening it into a weapon. He had no sword, no gun, only the strength of his arms and the will to fight. The girls watched silently, their eyes wide. They understood more than he wished. They knew he was preparing for danger. Far away, the queen's soldiers also heard the whispers. They carried the news to her chamber. A human is said to have taken your daughters. The hall filled with shock. Advisors argued in anger. A human cannot be trusted if this is true. He will use them for ransom. But the queen raised her hand, silencing them, her voice cold but strong. If he protects them, he will live. If he betrays them, he will answer to me. And so the whispers grew louder across the stars, whispers of 2 royal daughters, hiding in the arms of a man no one dared to imagine. Inside the shelter, the human looked at the children resting against his shoulders, their trust heavier than any crown. He knew the whispers would soon reach the wrong ears. He knew hunters, pirates, and even soldiers might come. But he also knew one truth. He would not let the girls go, no matter what the night whispered. The dark was closing in, and soon the chase would begin. The night was restless. The wind carried strange echoes through the hills. Inside the human's small shelter, the 2 princesses slept against his side, but his eyes never closed. He knew danger was near. The whispers in the ruins were no longer just rumors. Hunters were searching, pirates were moving, and every step they took would lead closer to his door. At dawn, he packed what little food he had, dried bread, water, a small pouch of herbs. He looked at the children and whispered, "We can't stay here." They stared at him with wide eyes, not fully understanding his words but sensing his urgency. The older one clutched his hand. The younger held onto his coat. They trusted him completely. He led them out of the shelter and into the rocky path behind the cliffs. The way was rough, stones sharp underfoot, the air thin, yet he pushed forward, carrying the smaller girl on his back when she grew tired, his steps heavy but steady. By midday, shadows moved across the sky. A pirate ship circled above, its engines roaring, its black hull marked with cruel symbols. The human pulled the children under the cover of trees, pressing a finger to his lips. The girls stayed quiet, their breaths fast. The ship passed, but he knew it would return. They were being hunted. Far away in the palace, the queen received more reports, her soldiers told her. The pirates spread across the wastelands. They seek the princesses. They say a human carries them. Her heart twisted. She wanted to believe her daughters were alive, but fear and anger burned together. If this human protects them, find him. If he harms them, end him, she commanded. The chase began in full. Pirates stormed through villages asking questions. Hunters sniffed through ruins like wolves, and even mercenaries joined, for the reward of capturing the princesses was greater than gold. Some followed greed, others followed power, but all of them hunted the same trail. The human led the girls deeper into the wastelands, his body aching, his lips dry, but he never slowed. The children grew weaker, their legs trembling. He carried them one after the other, whispering soft words. Just a little more, you're safe with me, though his own heart doubted how long safety would last. By nightfall, they reached an old starport, broken and silent. Its walls rusted, its landing pads cracked. Once it had been full of ships and life. Now it was a grave of steel. He guided the girls inside, hiding them in the shadows of a collapsed hangar, but they were not alone. Torches flickered at the far end. Voices rose, rough and cruel. Pirates had already found this place. Spread out. Find them. The queen will pay more than we've ever dreamed. Their laughter echoed through the ruins. The human held the girls close, his hand tightening on the sharp tool he carried. His heart pounded. He knew he could not outrun them forever. Sooner or later he would have to stand. The older girl looked at him with tearful eyes, as if asking silently if they would live. He pressed her small hand and whispered, "I will not let them take you." His voice low but fierce. The pirates spread through the starport, their boots heavy, their shadows long. The human guided the girls carefully along broken passages, every step silent, every breath measured, one wrong sound, and they would be found. Suddenly, a shout tore through the air. "There! I saw movement." Torches swung in their direction. Boots thundered. The chase burst into life. The human grabbed the girls' hands and ran, through shattered doors, across rusted beams, his breath sharp, his legs burning. Behind them, the pirates roared. Weapons drawn, fire flashing in the dark. Sparks flew as bullets struck steel. The younger girl stumbled, nearly falling. He lifted her into his arms, never slowing, his body heavy with the weight but his will unbroken. The older clung to his shirt, her small voice crying, "Don't leave us." "I won't," he gasped, pushing harder, his heart stronger than fear. Through corridors and broken halls they ran, the pirates always close, their cruel laughter mixing with the sound of boots. It was a hunt, and they were the prey. At last, they reached the far edge of the starport, where the ground opened into cliffs and wide desert. The human stopped, the edge before him, the hunters behind, trapped. The girls clung to him, trembling. He turned slowly, his tool raised, his eyes burning. The pirates laughed. "A human? Protecting royal blood. Fool, give them to us and maybe we'll spare you." But the human stood tall, his voice steady though his hands shook. "You'll have to go through me first." The pirates drew closer, confident, their blades shining. Their guns loaded, the man's heart thundered, but he did not move. He placed the girls behind him, shielding them with his body. The chase had led them here, to the edge of survival, and though he stood alone, he was ready to fight. Far away, the queen's spies whispered to her again. "The human has been seen, standing against pirates, protecting the children." The queen's heart broke with hope and fear. She whispered into the night, "Hold them, whoever you are, hold them until I come." The chase was not over. It was only the beginning, and the galaxy would soon learn how far a human could run and how far he could fight, for two children who trusted him more than anyone dared. The palace of the alien queen stood like a mountain of silver stone, but inside its halls were heavy with sorrow. The queen sat alone on her throne, her hands trembling against the carved arms, her crown pressing down like a weight of iron. It had been many days since her daughters vanished. Her heart carried only emptiness. Her chambers, once filled with laughter, were now silent. She had ordered every soldier to search, every spy to listen, yet no proof came back. Only whispers, fragile as smoke. Her advisors circled like vultures, their voices sharp. "My queen, the empire grows restless without heirs, the throne is weak, you must act." Another added coldly, "It may be time to accept the truth, the princesses are gone." The queen's eyes flared with rage, her voice thundered through the hall. "Gone? They are not gone until I see their bodies with my own eyes." Her words silenced the chamber, but when she turned away, tears burned her cheeks, unseen by those who bowed before her. At night she wandered the royal gardens, where her daughters once played among glowing flowers. She touched the vines they had braided, the stones they had painted, each memory cut like a knife. She whispered their names into the dark, her voice breaking. "Where are you, my stars?" But far from the palace, across wastelands and ruins, her daughters were alive, clinging to the arms of a human who refused to let them go. Whispers of this truth had begun to reach the palace, carried by spies and travelers. One reported, a man was seen with 2 alien children, silver hair like the princesses they hid in his coat. Another whispered, "Pirates hunt them, yet the man defends them." The queen listened with pounding heart, hope rising like fire, yet fear poisoned it. What if these were lies? What if the man only meant to ransom them? What if he failed and the pirates took them again? Her grief deepened with every question. Her nights grew darker, sleep refused her. She walked the halls alone, her crown laid aside, her steps echoing. Servants watched from shadows, whispering of a queen broken by loss. In council, her generals argued, "If the rumors are true, we must march, destroy the pirates, search every ruin." Another spat with disdain. "But a human holds them, can such a creature be trusted with royal blood?" The queen's gaze froze them all, her voice low but sharp. "If he holds them, then he has given me more hope than any of you." Silence followed. None dared to speak further. Still, doubt gnawed at her. She returned to her chambers, opening. A small chest of treasures inside lay the children's toys, a silver comb, a tiny bracelet, a drawing made with colored dust. She held them against her chest, her tears falling onto them, her whisper breaking. "My daughters, please live. Hold on until I find you." Meanwhile, the human and the children rested in the broken starport. After the chase, he had fought to protect them. His arms bruised, his breath ragged, yet they survived. The girls clung to him, refusing to let go. Their trust was stronger than chains, and in that moment far away, their mother wept with the same desperate love. But the galaxy did not pause for grief. Enemies of the queen spread rumors louder. The throne is weak. Her heirs are gone. Pirates promised riches for proof of. The princesses, mercenaries sharpened their blades. Chaos brewed in the shadows. The queen knew time was running out. Her grief had to become strength. She called her most loyal guards, her voice clear. "I will not wait for reports, I will not wait for lies, I will search myself." The guards bowed in shock, for never had a queen spoken such words. In the darkness of her chamber, she stood before a star map, her finger tracing the sectors where whispers pointed, her eyes hardening. "If my daughters live, I will find them. If a human holds them, I will see with my own eyes who he is." And so the queen's grief became fire, her tears became resolve, yet still, in her heart, sorrow lived like a shadow. For every moment she feared that when she arrived, it would be too late. Back in the wasteland ruins, the man sat by the children, the firelight dancing across their faces. He looked at them with tired eyes but a firm will. He did not know that across the stars, their mother wept and searched, nor that his name was now whispered in the halls of power. The galaxy thought the queen's grief had broken her, but soon it would learn. Grief could also make her unstoppable. The old starport was quiet after the chase, but silence never lasted long in a galaxy filled with hunters. The human knew this. His body ached from running, his arms sore from carrying. The girls, yet his eyes stayed sharp. He could feel the storm was not over. It was only gathering. He hid the children in the shadows of a broken hangar, giving them water, breaking bread into small pieces. The older girl held the food carefully, Sharing half with her sister, the human watched with pride. They were stronger than he had first believed, but strength alone would not save them. At night, the torches appeared again, flames moving across the wasteland, voices growing louder. Pirates had returned, this time in greater numbers. Their leader's laugh echoed through the ruins, cruel and sharp. "He cannot run forever. Tonight we end him." The human's heart pounded. He looked at the children, their silver eyes wide. With fear, he whispered, "Stay behind me, do not move." They nodded, clinging to each other, trusting his every word. The pirates stormed the starport, their boots shaking the rusted floor, weapons glowing in the dark. The human gripped the sharp tool. He had shaped nothing more than metal turned into a blade, yet in his hands it was hope. He stood in the open, facing them, his shadow tall against the firelight. The leader stepped forward, his armor shining, his voice mocking. "A human? Protecting? Royal blood? Do you know what prize you hold? Give them to us and maybe I'll let you live." The human's voice was calm but firm. "If you want them, you'll have to kill me first." The pirates laughed, surrounding him, blades drawn, guns ready. The human tightened his grip, his breath steady. He had no training, no army, but he had something stronger, the will to protect the children who trusted him with their lives. The fight began. The first pirate charged, his blade swinging, the human blocked with his tool. Sparks flew, pain cut across his arm, but he struck back with raw force. The pirate fell. Another rushed in. The human kicked him back, his body moving with desperation, not skill, but enough. The girls cried out, hiding their faces, yet they peeked through trembling fingers, watching as the man stood between them and the storm. Every time he was struck, he staggered, but he never fell. He fought with a fury born of love, not violence. The leader grew angry, shouting, "End him!" A wave of pirates surged forward. The human was struck, blood running down his side. He dropped to one knee, his vision blurred. The girls screamed, clinging tighter to each other, but he rose again, his voice rough but unbroken. "You will not touch them." His blade swung with the strength of a father, his arms burning, his body breaking. But still he stood. Then, suddenly, the air split with a roar. Ships descended from the sky, silver banners glowing in the night. The Queen's soldiers had arrived, drawn by the same whispers that guided the pirates. The battlefield froze for a heartbeat. The pirates cursed, the soldiers shouted. Beams of light struck the ground. The Queen's guard stormed forward in shining armor, their weapons sharp, their shields bright. The tide had turned. The pirates fought back. Chaos erupted. Steel clashed. With fire, cries filled the air, but the soldiers pushed harder, driving the hunters into retreat. The leader tried to flee, but a guard's blade ended him, his laugh silenced forever. Through the storm of battle, the soldiers saw a sight that stunned them. The human stood bleeding, his body swaying, yet still shielding the two girls with his arms. The princesses clung to him, refusing to let go. The soldiers hesitated, their eyes wide with disbelief. Whispers spread even here. "They trust him, more than us." One soldier stepped forward, his voice respectful. "Human, lower your weapon. We are here to protect them." But the girls buried their faces into the man's chest, crying, refusing to release him, their hands clutching tight. The human looked at the soldiers, his breath ragged, his voice soft but fierce. "If you mean them no harm, then prove it, because I will not let them go." The soldiers lowered their weapons slowly. None dared strike. For the truth was clear. The princesses had chosen their protector, and it was not them. Far away, the Queen's ship was already moving, her heart restless, her eyes searching the stars. She did not yet know that her daughters lived, that they had been saved not by her armies, but by a human who had no reason to care, yet cared more than anyone. The final stand had been made, and though the human's body was broken, his spirit had not yielded, and the galaxy itself would soon bow to the truth of that night. The battlefield lay silent at last. The old starport burned with smoke, broken weapons scattered across the ground. The pirates had been crushed, their leader fallen, yet the air still trembled with what had been witnessed. At the center of the ruin stood the human, wounded and weak, his coat torn and soaked with blood. Yet his arms still shielded the two princesses, their silver hair tangled, their faces streaked with tears, but their hands clung tightly to him, refusing to let go. The queen's soldiers circled, unsure, their armor shining in the glow of fire. One whispered, "He should give them to us." Another muttered, "But look, they hold him as if he is their father." Doubt spread like fire among them, for never in history had royal blood trusted a human so deeply. Then the sound of engines filled the air. The queen's own ship descended, silver banners blazing. The ground shook as the vessel landed. The soldiers dropped to their knees, their voices loud. The queen arrives. The human turned, his breath heavy, his blade still in his hand, though his strength was nearly gone. The girls clung harder, hiding behind him, their small voices crying, "Don't leave us." He touched their heads softly, whispering, "I won't," though fear stirred in his chest. For how could he stand against a queen? The ship's ramp lowered, and the alien queen stepped into the smoke, her robes flowing, her crown shining under the broken stars, her face pale with grief, her eyes burning with fire. She looked across the battlefield, searching, then she saw them. Her daughters alive, clinging to the arms of a human stranger. Her breath caught. Tears filled her eyes. She ran forward, her voice breaking for the first time in years. "My children!" But the girls did not rush to her. Instead, they buried themselves deeper against the human, their arms locked around him. The queen froze, her heart shattering at the sight. They were alive, yet they feared leaving him. The soldiers gasped. Never had they seen such a thing. Whispers spread. They choose him. They fear even their mother will take him away. The queen's steps slowed, her tears falling. She saw the truth in their trembling. They had suffered, they had been hunted, and only this human had stood between them and death. He had bled for them, shielded them, given them hope when the galaxy turned cruel. She stood before him now, her voice soft, trembling. "Human, you have done what no one else could. You gave me back my heart." The man's grip on his blade loosened, his voice rough. "I only did what anyone should. I kept them safe." His knees nearly buckled, yet he stayed upright, his body a wall. Between the girls and the world, the queen reached out, but gently, not as a ruler but as a mother, her hand hovering, her eyes wet. "My daughters, come to me." The girls looked at her, then at the human, their eyes wide with fear. Their lips trembling, one whispered, "Don't take him." The words cracked the silence. The queen's heart broke again, but this time not from loss, from understanding. She looked at the human, at the blood on his skin, at the trust in her daughter's eyes, and she made her choice. Slowly, she bowed her head to him, shocking every soldier in sight. "Then stay with them. Protect them still, for they are yours as much as mine." Gasps filled the air. No one had ever seen a queen bow to a human, but in that moment power meant nothing, only love. The human stared, stunned, his voice barely a whisper. "You would trust me?" The queen nodded, her tears shining like jewels. "They already have, and that is greater than any throne." The princesses loosened their grip only enough to look at her, their hands still locked in his. The older one whispered softly, "Mother." The queen's knees gave way, she pulled them close, and for the first time mother and daughters wept together, the human still holding them all. That night the galaxy changed. News spread across the stars of what had happened at the broken starport. How the queen's daughters had been saved not by armies or crowns, but by a human no one trusted. How the queen herself bowed, and gave him honor no ruler had ever given. Enemies grew silent. Pirates trembled. For if a human could win the trust of royal blood, then perhaps humans were not weak as the galaxy believed. Perhaps they were something far more dangerous, something that could change empires. In the quiet after, the queen walked beside the human, her daughters holding both their hands, her voice steady. "You will not walk alone now. Wherever they go, you will go. And I will honor you." The man looked at the stars, then at the small hands gripping his heart heavy yet full. He had begun this journey as nothing but a forgotten soul. But now, because of two frightened children, he had become more than he ever imagined. And so the story ended not with a crown or a throne, but with a choice. A queen who saw beyond power, two daughters who trusted beyond fear, and a human who held them closer than anyone dared.